Today, we're creating this subsurface glow effect inspired by Iron Man 3 and Video Copilot. Welcome to Backyard Filmmaking. I'm your host Chris, and today we're creating an effect that I've wanted to tackle for a pretty long time. Ever since I got into VFX, creating this effect has been in the back of my mind. However, I think it's only now that I have the tools and knowledge to truly do it justice. This effect is mainly inspired by an old Video Copilot tutorial, that of which was inspired by the Iron Man 3 Extremist effect. This effect really relies on knowing how to work with Mocha pretty well. That means that you'll either need the Hitfilm Express Mocha add-on or simply Hitfilm Pro. Without further ado, let's get started. This effect is definitely one of the more complex ones that I've tackled. However, all you'll need to start this tutorial off is some footage of you turning your head or really performing any movement you want. To start off this effect, we need to track my face so we can parent the subsurface glow onto my cheek. For this, you'll need to use the Mocha Hitfilm effect. This effect is exclusive for Hitfilm Pro, however, you can, using a new feature in Hitfilm Express, still use the effect and purchase the add-on later if you'd like, that is. Once you've dropped on the Mocha effect to your footage, it's time to open up the Mocha UI. Here is where we'll be doing the tracking. I went to the end of my footage and took the Bezier spline tool to draw a plane that I'd like to have tracked. I placed my points on some distinct features on my face, like the shadows from my glasses, so the program would have an easier time tracking the plane. I then hit track backwards and, after a minute or two, I had a pretty smooth track of my face. With that, I exported my tracking data. After this, you can either simply close the Mocha UI or save the project if you have a feeling you'll be returning to make some adjustments. With your face tracked, we can return to Hitfilm and import our tracking data by going to the little arrow to the right of the media box and clicking Import Composite Shot, then locating the data. With your tracking data imported, we can see how good the track is by using this blue reference plane. As you can see, the quad warp effect is used to keep the plane with my face. Using this effect, we can copy and paste it onto whatever we want and track really anything we want onto my face. With this in mind, let's dive into how I created the base of this effect, which is really just some distorted fractal noise on a plane with a mask. If I remove most of the effects, you can see that without a mask or the quad warp effect, the base of this effect is some smoky fractal noise scaled up a bit. As I apply the quad warp effect, you can see how the texture now moves as my face does. To create a more natural patch, I created a mask. The reason the mask is on the edges of the composite shot but still has an effect on the plane is because of the quad warp effect. I keyframed a couple aspects of the mask in order to have the patch kind of grow. I simply increased its size and opacity over time to do this. With the main skin created, it was time to add some extra depth to the effect by adding in some veins. I have two main composite shots to manage the veins. The shot that keeps the veins themselves is titled Network. Here, I've brought in some PNGs of veins and layer them haphazardly with varying levels of blur. The veins towards the bottom have a strong blur, but the veins towards the top have a more subtle to no blur at all. This helps create a sense of parallax and depth in our effect. With the veins layered on top of each other, I pre-composited them into the veins composite shot. This is where I applied the quad warp effect. Now, both the skin texture and veins stick with my face movements. Now all there really is left to do is to give this some color and make it fit into the scene. I'll hide the tracking reference and head into the final effect composite shot, where I've dropped in the input comp. To make this effect really pop, I wanted to alter its blend mode. However, changing its blend mode won't look too great without a black background underneath everything in the input composite shot. So I'll create a new black plane and place it beneath all other layers. With this, when I change the blend mode to color dodge, the effect looks natural in the scene. I want to add some color to this effect, so I added a curves and hue and saturation effect onto the input layer. I used the different channels in the curves effect to give it some nice red tones. I used this same technique for the hue and saturation effect. I then keyframed the opacity of the entire input layer so the patch would fade in as it also grew from the keyframed aspects of the mask. And that's really it. Adding some extra color grading will help the patch really look great and well implemented into the scene. Some sound effects will also help embellish the effect. With that, this subsurface skin effect is complete. That's how you create the effect. Personally, I'm really proud of this effect. I'm extremely happy that I found a way to create something that I've wanted to for a very long time in Hitfilm. Now, I'd just like to discuss our lack of tutorials. Yes, we put out a short film, I think maybe 2 weeks ago at the time of this video dropping, but a new tutorial hasn't dropped in, I think, about 2 months now, which I'm not really happy with. Recently, I've had a couple of 4-day weekends and even a snow day, and cross country also ended a few weeks back, so that's why I've had time to work on this tutorial. However, soon enough, winter track is going to be starting up, and I'm sure schoolwork is going to be ramping up once more, so I really don't know when I'm going to be able to get another tutorial up. I hope it's not in another 2 months, maybe another month and a half. I really hope you guys are enjoying the content and can stick with the channel throughout the school year. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Backyard Filmmaking. Don't be afraid to hit that like button or even subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, tell us in the comments below, and thanks for watching.